Doubles and coffee. Observers, election observers. 2020 Rowley didn't want none. Lie and say Commonwealth observers didn't have the money to come, and COVID and all kind of thing. Kamla Prasad has requested observers, and now Rowley says CARICOM observers are coming for the election 2025. With all due respect, CARICOM observers, they don't have a good track record in the Guyanese election, where Rowley and PNM took a side with Lovell Francis, talking about the dunce UNC in Guyana lost when they really won. So CARICOM observers are not, they don't fill the population with confidence. But Kamla Prasad didn't just ask for CARICOM observers. We want Commonwealth observers. We want international observers, like from the Carter Center. So what is Rowley so confident and cocky and boastful about this CARICOM observers? And whoa, here we have it. The wife of Lymore, Attorney General of the PNM Lymore, who perjured himself in a court of foreign jurisdiction in Florida, who lost a file, pay a man to talk about a file, and the file reappear. Lymore, AG Lymore, who said it's public servants who inserted a clause to take pension away from citizens who had $25,000 in the bank. AG Lymore wife is the Assistant General Secretary of the CARICOM. The CARICOM who cannot tell us up to now who asked to use the CARICOM Impact jet to go and kidnap Brent Thomas without charge, without paperwork, without natural justice, illegally from Barbados. That same CARICOM is who Rowley boasting coming to observe elections. And then we learn that the wife of the sitting Attorney General is a high-ranking member of the CARICOM Secretariat. Now some of you all will be saying, Anil, you cannot cast aspersions on some. Okay, that's true. However, let's just deal with it at the base level of apparent bias. In order to have something that is impartial, impeccable, a fair competition, the principle of apparent bias must be upheld. Apparent bias basically states that if a reasonable person will have the impression that somebody, due to any connection with another person or group, would have a proclivity to be biased in favor of that person or group, then they cannot adjudicate or they cannot remain as a power broker in that process. Let me put it down in English. If you know somebody who is in a competition, then you shouldn't adjudicate. So if you from Trinidad and Tobago playing Venezuela in football, you shouldn't be the referee, the linesman, or the fourth official. Simple. If you are a judge in a case and it's your cousin, your husband, your brother-in-law, your sister-in-law, your Sarabai, you should recuse yourself. If you're a minister and you're in cabinet, you should not ever be and take decisions that benefit your family directly, your wife, your siblings, and so on. Now you see where I read? All of those principles have been breached by the PNM already. If you believe in the gospel of the PNM, then you should not swear in on a Bible to be the president of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, which in essence is supposed to be an independent institution. So apparent bias does not mean, it does not mean that the person is a bad person. It does not mean that the person would actively cheat. It does not mean that. It just means that once a rational, normal, intelligent person would believe that, hey, if it comes down to any sort of decision, that you, because of your prior relationship with someone else, would be inclined to rule in their favor, then you are disqualified from holding that position. So the head of the EBC is a former, is a member of a family of a former PNM sitting minister, and more importantly, the best friend from school. Your school friends, look all that prestige fet, CIC fet, school fet across the board, and it's a set up alumni hugging up, and you're seeing the love and the passion because school friend is real friend. School friend sometimes closer than real brethren, real brother and sister. So Gadsby Dolly is the best friend of Narcisco from St. Augustine Girls High School. They are best friends. She's in charge of the EBC. based on the philosophy, the principle of apparent bias, she should not be in that position because it's a two-horse race. PNM, Gadsby Dolly versus UNC. And that disqualifies her. So, CARICOM observers, Attorney General, PNM, wife, love him. Secretary General, CARICOM. They cannot be the lone arbiter of the observers for an election between PNM, Lymore and his wife, and the UNC. It's that simple. It does not matter whether she's a brilliant, and I know her from primary school, brilliant, intelligent, amazing lady. But that does not factor into apparent bias. For example, why I could tell you that it doesn't matter that in coaching and in sport that I have no bias in me whatsoever. Because I so believe in the values of sport. Those with talent, who work hard, who respect the sport, respect themselves, wake up, listen to their coach, put in the effort, that they will eventually win. And that the coach has a job and a duty to give each and every athlete the best of his or her knowledge based on their adherence to the letter, the law, the rules, the science, the application, the effort. So, I have been a national coach for over 35 years. I have had my own club at times and my own swimmers. And I've coached national teams. But not one human being could say Anil Roberts ever showed bias to any athlete over the next. If you do good, you do a set, you do a time, you do your effort, and it's good, you get praise. If it's not good, you get both. Whether you are my child or not. Anybody who sees me around the tennis court with my little daughter, when she playing tennis or tennis match, some of them parents just open the eye and say, but how you telling the other player great shot when she hit the great shot against your daughter? That's the way I have been brought up. That's the way I believe in sport. And if my daughter understands that she wants praise, she has to work hard and do a great shot also. End of story. But there's no bias. But however, if you are to say, Anil, we have a national tennis final. Your daughter Anaya is going to play somebody else's child in the final. We have no officials. We need you to be the umpire. Even though my track record is, as I've just told you, I cannot be the umpire because of the principle of apparent bias. So it doesn't matter that I will do the game fairly, that I will not even think or cheat or even enter my mind to try to help my child win anything, because I teach them that if they want something, work hard and win it and beat people and train harder. However, a rational individual would believe that because that is my daughter, that I am disqualified from sitting in a chair for that final. And that is fair, that is correct, and that is right. So I would have to decline the offer and let somebody else do it because of the principle of apparent bias. And you have to wonder, how come these PNM? How come Rowley? How come Small Pin? How come some of these ministers walking around so arrogantly, knowing that the track record is the worst in the history of governance? They've spent the most money and have had the least success. The country is in abject total chaos, from lack of safety and security, porous borders, the economy is in shambles, no foreign exchange crisis, job losses, people under stress, education system collapsing, health system totally and completely irrelevant, providing more pain than solutions. The roads in a mess, water in a mess, electricity in a mess, higher taxes, property tax coming, disrespect to labor, disrespect to everybody. The PNM has brought sufferation on the majority of the population. The only ones who clapping is them rich ones in the energy chamber and those who benefit directly from the PNM. But yet, this group of human beings walks around so confidently, as if they're going to win, and they know they win already, and they're arrogant, and they feel that the election is theirs. Why? How? That's illogical. Unless you know that the game is rigged. Unless you know you have your people in key places. Unless you know the EBC head is a PNM. Unless you know that person who's choosing all the returning officers for the 7 marginal seats has your back. unless you know the mass media is on your side to lie and portray the opposition in one light and put you and promote you and hide the truth about your failures, unless you know that the observers that are coming are not free and fair to make their own mind up, unless you know that the game is rigged, unless you know that there's cheating going on, how could you possibly be so arrogant in the face of an overwhelming mountain of evidence of your complete capitulation and failure in every level of governance? How can you think that you're going to win when money has been stolen, when a web of corruption, corporate governance has gone out the window, interlocking directorships, one man spending all the money who's Rowley best friend, then Rowley best lawyer, then Rowley neighbors in Iney's Gate? When you see that a minister of finance has lost against a central bank governor once again, firing a central bank governor who wanted to protect the people and make sure that it was fair and equitable, the distribution of foreign exchange, and then to replace him with Rowley's neighbor where? At Iney's Gate in Tobago, alongside Gilbert Peterson. We seen Petrodram and bunkering. Gilbert Peterson, are you involved? Is your company involved? Are you benefiting from that? You're seeing small pin being hand-selected without one man, one vote, without democratic principles. And in the face of all this calamity, chaos, and incompetence, the PNM is confident of victory. I wonder why. There's only one way to beat cheaters, and cheaters who plan to cheat. Tobago showed them when they tried to gerrymander boundaries through the EBC, by the EBC taking instructions from Rowley to change the seats from 12 to 15, and to ensure that PNM had a victory. You know what Tobagonians did? They say fire burn that. No PNM is more important than my island. And they rejected the PNM 14-1 because of their cheating ways. The PNM is coming to try to cheat in an election in Trinidad again. In an election in Trinidad and Tobago again. Reject cheaters. They don't deserve another opportunity. Get rid of the PNM. Unite. It's PNM versus UNC. When UNC wins, everyone wins.